quality handmade soaps, where handmade is the best made. Proudly making soap for over 5 years, Quality Handmade Soap sets the standard in both quality and safe ingredients. Perfect for the holiday season. I'm telling you right now, you see that Black Rose soap, I got that in my shower, and man, let me tell you what, your husband or wife will love it. Use promo code VHHN2022 to get 15% off your first purchase. Link is in the description box. Let's go.
But the weakness is that all Black people who have had an experience in history try to make all Black people that. No, it's like the Moorish community. You had an experience in North Africa with the Arabs and the Jewish people running from the Roman people. But that wasn't all of Africa that had that experience. Okay? So take that experience, put it in its context, and forge your identity around that. But don't come and tell me I'm living out in the bush in South Africa that I'm a Moor, because that's silly.
Right.
You know? So we have to just learn history, get rid of the mysteries, understanding our racial relationship, unite on the basis of that. That's what we really call Pan-Africanism. You know, we are a melting pot of humanity, Black humanity, with multiple ways of expressing our understanding of divinity, cosmology, and ecology. And we call that explanation culture. And it varies depending on where we are. But the laws we're trying to teach one another is universally the same.
Right. I seen that you been all over Europe, Africa, the Caribbeans teaching. What are some of your experiences that you've seen as far as the dichotomy with race everywhere? Black people in the Caribbean, Black people in Europe, Black people in Africa. Are there some like similarities between Black people in the US? Can you kind of talk about some of the things that you've seen?
Oh, yes, sir. We are the same people. What the differences we see among us is the things of the Europeans that we've adopted in our character. If we dump their adaptations, we're the same. You know, some of us were brought to the Caribbean. We were enslaved there. We fought wars and rebellions there for centuries. Some was brought to North America. We were enslaved here. We fought wars and resistance. Some are in Europe. People never talk about before we were brought to North America to be enslaved. We were taken to Europe and enslaved. They never talk about European enslavement of African peoples, even before the transatlantic slave trade. You understand? And then there were those who went there with the invasion of the Moors into Spain and into France and who stayed as a part of that population. And then there are those who migrated during colonialism. That's the military genocidal occupation of Africa after the Berlin Conference in 1885 by all of the white armies of Europe, financed by Wall Street. They said, well, America didn't have no army there. No, your army was your money. You paid the others to kill and murder Africans and rob their gold and diamonds and cobalt and other things from them. And so that's why history is important, because it'll clear this shit up real quick. You know? It lets you see it, real birth. Wherever I've been in the UK and France and Spain, and I've met another African, we do like the Yoruba term, lukomi. The term means you belong to me and I belong to you. You may speak a different language, you may practice another religion or culture, but we belong to each other. Same thing when I go to Trinidad or I go to St. Thomas or I go to Jamaica, or I go to Haiti. We know we belong to each other. We understand the linguistic differences and the cultural differences. And sometimes we use the brainwashing of our European oppressors to use those European differences to divide us. But when we dump the European adaptation from our culture and our behavior, we just one people. When I step off of a plane in Africa, I mean, like, I can't even explain it. The love and the beauty. That don't mean people over there ain't gonna do some bad things. I mean, I own a hotel over there, me and some brothers. We got a big hotel. Some of the people misuse their opportunities, but they do the same thing here.
Mhm.
That ain't an African thing. Greed ain't an African thing. Robbery ain't an African thing. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, when I step on that continent, I am in heaven. You know, even on a bad day, even taking a car, we ran into a flood one time. We were trying to figure out what to do. So we said, okay, some old people were so smart. They said, look, take the battery out of the car, put it on top of the car. And they didn't want me to get wet. I got wet anyway because the water came in the car. They said, Prof, you get on the back seat and stand up, and we're going to push the car across the flood waters, which we did. Went to the other side, put the battery in, and went on down the road. We didn't know any of those people. You know, the three of us riding on the road and ran into the flood. The beauty, when people realize, because they don't know our history and culture on the continent, most of the people, they don't know about chattel slavery and transatlantic slavery. They don't know what we've suffered and gone through. One day, and we were starting Emancipation Day in Ghana, and we were marching down the street, and I didn't know this could happen, right? These young people from the University of Legon decided they would dress up like enslaved people and be shackled and chained, and they were being beaten with a whip, right? I lost it. This is the first time I know this could happen. One moment I see the girl get hit with the whip and I see the welt come up on the back. And the next thing I know, I got 4 people holding me on the ground because I done beat up the brother that had the whip, right? And the minister saying, small, never come. I went there. I went there and didn't know I went there to rescue this woman. And the young people are standing over me saying, oh, Prof, we just wanted you to feel what y'all felt. We wanted to feel what y'all felt. I laid on that ground and cried until they picked me up. And I apologized to the young man that I jumped. And about a week later, Dr. Jeffries, my teacher, and I, we were riding in the north, and I'll end this. And we get to Kumasi. And the brother, who's our tour guide, showing us around the palace of the Asantehene, the King of Kings. When we get upstairs where he does the lecture, he just broke down and started crying. So we wanted to know, did we do something wrong? No, he had seen on TV the marching and celebration showing chattel slavery. They had never heard of this thing happening to their people. And he's crying. This is a man in his 60s, crying like a baby, saying, we are so sorry. We didn't know this happened to you.
Wow.
Many people in Africa don't know we came from Africa to here because we haven't done the job of educating them or ourselves on the history of the last 500 years. And it is our job, especially here, because we have a greater opportunity and a greater access to the body of knowledge, greater access to technology, let us do the research to help enlighten our brothers and sisters at home while they enlighten us on that history that we missed out on for 500 years.